introduce yourself, tell us your name and DOC number. Wait, she's. All right.
Bryan Johnson, 513276.
All right, good morning, Mr. Johnson. Let me read some information record, and then we'll get started with your parole interview.
Yes,
Mr. Johnson, you're classified as a second felony offender. You're currently serving a 30-year sentence as a habitual offender for distribution of marijuana. And then you have an attempted possession of firearm by convicted felon. Your parole eligibility date was in August of 2016, and you have a good time date, which is February 20th, 2038. Is that information correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Your case has been assigned to Ms. Jackson, seated to my right. Would you answer her questions?
Yes,
Good
ma'am.
morning.
Morning.
How are you?
I'm all right. I'm fine. I'm making it.
Okay. All right. How old are you?
I'm 38.
And how much time have you actually served on this charge?
14 years.
So you went in at age 24.
Yes, ma'am.
You're classified as a second offender. You had a prior arrest and conviction for possession of cocaine, Xanax, for Zapinate, and you got revoked because of the charges that you're here for now. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. That's correct.
Why do you think you weren't successful when you were placed on probation?
Probably most likely because of the lack of consciousness, not really giving things any thought, just living and being young.
Not taking it seriously.
Yes, ma'am, pretty much.
So, when did you start your drug enterprise? How did you get into? How'd you get into drug dealing? Why?
I got into drugs probably because of poverty. The first time that I can remember, I believe I wanted a pair of shoes when I was playing basketball. And I ended up asking my mom to get a pair, and I couldn't get them, couldn't afford them. And I believe right after that incident, I made a decision to pretty much start getting involved with drugs, selling them. So I would say probably poverty.
So, how old were you?
I had to be about maybe 13.
As a 13-year-old, then who gets a 13-year-old involved in drug dealing? Who in your life got you involved in drug dealing?
Maybe what I seen, neighborhood environment, maybe. Looking for a quick way to make money.
You go to someone and say, I want to hustle, or did somebody come to you? How did that happen?
Well, I pretty much had to go to them. I don't think someone came to me. It was a decision that I had to make by observing and seeing, seeing things. So, not really knowing, but just seeing, wanting to be involved, I guess, knowing, okay, this is a quick way to make money. That's pretty much how it started with me. I don't know how it probably started with, anyone else, but that was my situation. As far as I can reflect when I think, when I think back on the question, that's what got me involved.
Where did you grow up?
Slidell.
Slidell?
Yeah, Slidell, Louisiana.
How far did you go in school?
I ended up recently getting my high set.
How
How far did you go in school when you were not incarcerated?
Made high school, 8th grade, 9th grade.
And how did you end up dropping out in the 9th grade?
Incarceration, ended up going to jail as a juvenile, ended up serving a little time. And that was how I got out of high school.
How long were you in juvenile custody?
3 years.
Did you have GED in juvenile facility?
I ended up taking I ended up taking a GED. I ended up getting it, but for some reason it wasn't found on the records. So when I came here, I had
Get it when you were in the juvenile facility.
yes, ma'am. I ended up taking a GED when I was in a detention center in Scotland. But like I said, when I came here and we go through the process of pulling up the paperwork, couldn't find it. So I had to actually redo my tapes, retake the test, and I had to go through that process all over again because they said they couldn't find it at the education department.
And you got your high set.
Yes, ma'am.
Your high set.
Excuse me?
When did you get your high set?
Oh, I got it here at Allen. Since I've been here.
Recently?
Yes, ma'am.
1/5/22. So you got it last year.
Yes, ma'am.
Back in August of 22, I think you were denied.
Yes, ma'am.
And one of the reasons was that you needed more programs. And you were denied on August the 9th of 2022. So since that date, have you taken any additional programs?
Yes, ma'am.
What have
Since
you
then,
taken since then? Yes, since then.
yes, ma'am. Since then, I believe I got about 25 certificates, I believe. I've been involved heavily with NAAA. I ended up completing the small engine course. I'm a certified technician. I know last time that a man who sat on the panel, he said he would like me to complete that. I'm in Tyros, I'm in Life Inner Circle, I'm in Boys to Men. So I have a few certificates of a Bible correspondence course that I've been taking. So, there's a lot of things that I've been doing and that I'm still active with, because like I said, during the last meeting, it was 2 things that actually stuck out to me, as far as I had a recommendation to better myself. So, I try to improve and do that. I was asked to get involved with a few more classes. I did that. And I've pretty much been trying to better myself as a person. So, everything that they pretty much asked, I try to apply myself and do. And that's pretty much what I got. I'm pretty sure y'all have the portfolio, you see what I did. So, that's all I can do.
Yes, what programs have you taken since your last denial that you think have helped you most to become a better person?
What helped me most, like I say, is NAAA.
Why is that?
Because last time, the man asked me a question. He had asked me, did I think about the effect that me selling had on the community? And as I told him, that was the first time that I really, gave thought to that question, and leaving that, getting involved with NAAA, I didn't just go to it to actually get the certificate, but I went there to look at things from the eyes of an addict. opposed to just looking at things from the eyes of a hustler. Because pretty much, like I say, I never really had a problem with substance abuse. But to sit there and listen to people's story that, really struggle with it, and knowing that I contributed to that in some manner, you know what I'm saying? Whether it was indirectly or directly, and when that question was asked to me, it took me back to a time, like I say, way back when I was 13, when I first got involved with drugs. So, actually going through that, it really do have a therapeutic value to, actually listen to people and hearing their stories. So, I became a chairman. I became more involved, ain't miss a beat, and I actually, I embrace a lot of the dudes and I actually help them because like, they had this thing to where they look at, hustlers per se, saying that we don't care, and they think that we just want their money. And I think it's a misconception, so, being involved with it, just hearing the stories, there's a lot that go on inside of NA more than just working the steps and things like that. But, you hear some stories and it was profound to me more than, getting a certification, being a technician with the small engines, but that right there is something that I'm really heavily involved in, every Sunday, and like I said, outside that we have meetings trying to find a way to advance the group. And it gave me a sense of, some type of value of just being a part of something that's significant in the lives of, inmates, you know what I'm saying? Dudes that's really going through something, that's something that we do, outside of security, that's like our little thing, that's our group, it's the full motion group. And even, in the event that I leave, it's something that I still want to be a part of. It's something that I know I can take into society and I can use it, I can bring value, to situations that, I contributed to for so many years, and it's just something that, I look forward to doing. But that's the most significant thing that I think I got involved with after the last hearing.
So tell me what your goals are.
What are my goals? One of my goals is to never come back to prison again. Put obstacles in front of me that I really don't have to. Another one of my goals is, to tighten up my family structure, because I have a big family. I have a lot of brothers, a lot of sisters. I have a daughter, I'm a grandfather now. And I want to live and use my life experiences of the things that I've been through and try to turn my negative to a positive, and like I say, that's the two of my smallest goals. But like I say, I want to go home and actually be successful, do things the right way,
What would success look like for you?
Success to me would look like me being a family man, getting structure inside my family, helping them advance their life. That way they don't have to make some of the decisions that I did. Actually showing them a way.
Stop you right there. Well, that's admirable that you want to do that, but if you take on other people's burdens, then you may find that it's dragging you back down, putting more stress and weight on you than you need. You can be an example to someone, but can't, change them. Just as all those times in the past, it took you spending this time to change you and work on you. But you need to understand that you can't get out savior complex, because that's going to lead to some pitfalls.
Yeah, and I'm not naive to that. And like I said, that's kind of one of the pages that, I take from NAA. I'm not saying that I got to be the one that carried the load and put the burden on my shoulder and help everybody or be some type of savior, because, I understand, even through NAA, there's some of the people that struggle that, it seems like, they may be hopeless or that you can't help them, but I don't give up on them. And I also know I have to have a group like I say, not just on myself, like my supporting cast, same way how people supported me for years, they got people that know things that I don't know. So as far as my collaboration and the circle that I build, with the people that I put around me, they can help me with ideas. I'm not saying that I have all the answers on how to help my family, but I'm pretty sure if I get in connection with the people and I can explain, what I'm going through and what's going on, they can give me input and advice and point me in a direction. But I'm not saying I'm the savior. I'm not saying I'm Jesus Christ or nothing, but I'm saying that I'm willing to take the challenge. I'm willing to step up to the plate and sit down and talk to see what somebody going through. That way, if I could help them or give them advice, then maybe I can point them in the right direction, because that's all I needed. Somebody to just point me in the right direction. I didn't need nobody to make me do certain things. I had to come around in my own mindset to realize that I want better for myself. So, that's just how I look at it. I'm not saying I got to go, because all my life, like you say, I wanted to do things my way. And like I said, my way ain't always the right way, but just being willing to step up to the plate. Like I say, sometimes that's all it takes. You know what I'm saying? And that's just how I look at it.
Let me ask you this. What's your transition plan? Let's just say you were successful in the local league. Where would you live? Where would you work? Tell me step by step, because I'm sure you've thought about it. How are you gonna get you around?
Like I say, for one, I take it slow. As far as for residence, where would I stay? I have my girlfriend, same residence plan that I had last time. And I have my mother, she's always welcomed me home. So, that's two places that I have as far as for a place to stay as soon as I get out. As far as for work, I submitted a few job agreement forms. I have a brother, he's second in command at FedEx. He planned on buying his own. I have employment there. I have employment, with my uncle. He submitted, he have a few food trucks that he run. So, I have that. And like I say, as far as for the Northside Vision LLCs, that was for my father. On my last hearing, he ended up speaking. And like I say, he ended up passing February 25th. So that company actually come to me. So, I'm gonna pretty much have me two jobs. I'm gonna run that LLCs. So as far as for, that's just something that I actually be able to do straight out the chute. Now,
What about the small engine? What about the small engine skill? How would you use it?
And that's a third, so like I have options, I'm a certified technician now. So like I said, I can pretty much, pull up pretty much anywhere, as far as for putting that in my resume. So like I say, I have options, and I know, work is plentiful. So like I say, I had a heart of the hustle. So can't see me not working. But like I say, with the consciousness to understand, like, I have options, I have opportunities, you know what I'm saying? So that's not really a problem for me. So I have somewhere to go. I'm pretty sure I can find work, I don't mind working. So like I say, that's two things that, I'm not really concerned about.
I'm gonna ask you a question, one last question, might sound a little strange to you, but do you think the last 14 years been the best thing that ever happened to you?
Do I think the last 14 years was the best thing that ever happened to me? That's the question. Like I say, to be honest, in a way, like I said, I know it's all about perception, but in a way I do. I do feel like it was one of the best things that could have happened to me, because like I say, without this, I don't think I'd be where I'm at today. I don't think, even with the last hearing, what I'm saying, 10 months ago, I don't think that the consciousness that I have now, what I'm saying, and the influence that I know that I have now, what I'm saying, had I not went through what I went through, I probably wouldn't see things the way that I see them today. So like I say, that's part of taking my negative and turning it into a positive. So like I say, I'm not, I could say that I'm grateful, what I'm saying, even for the negative that did happen in my life, And that's just how it is. But yes, I do think, you know, it have a profound and significant effect on them.
Ordinance, can you tell us anything about Mr. Johnson?
Yes, ma'am. I really believe Fontenot Johnson's been doing a pretty good job here at Allen Correctional Center. He's been applying himself. He's completed and engaged in a lot of classes to benefit himself, to help himself. He's currently living in our veteran incarcerated tier, which is a very, very highly respected tier where he's currently actually living at. He's surrounded by a lot of, you know, guys that support him and help him out. And that's a plus. But he's doing really good.
All right, thank you very much. Ms. Renata, that's all I have. Thank you.
Let's hear from your girlfriend, Ms. Desha Wise. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your first name.
Yeah, D-Shay.
Yeah.
Hi, I just wanted to say that Bryan definitely has changed in the last 3 years, and being denied, I think, made a big impact on him and made him see that he could be better, do better. Being a grandparent and losing his father, he just wants more out of life than what he did before, and he does have job security when he comes home and places to live. So, and then like the NAA meetings, hearing from other inmates saying that he helped him, I think that if you give him the opportunity, that he will never come back to prison at all. And he has the support of his family. So we will make sure that does not happen also. And that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Plan for him to live at your residence?
Yes, ma'am.
I don't have that address, but we do have an indication that maybe your property manager may have an issue with that. Have you spoken to the property manager?
I did speak to her. We already addressed that. And he is allowed to come here. And like, if the parole hearing had an issue with it, he's also allowed to go to his mother. So either way, he'll be at my house or his mom's house.
I just want to be sure you were aware of that. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Johnson, anything you want to say to us?
Thank y'all for the experience, not just this time, but the last time. And like I said, you know, for the most part, like I said, you know, it had a profound effect on me. You know, I don't really, you know, I embrace it all, you know, and I mean, I thank y'all, you know, I thank you.
Okay. All right, we're prepared to vote. Mrs. Jackson will be voting first.
All right, Mr. Johnson, you know, one of the things that just kind of breaks my heart a lot is when I see someone like you who is white, who has a lot of potential, but for whatever reason that potential is not realized, you know, that it gets squandered for a lot of reasons. Some being in control, being beyond the control. But it's always heartbreaking to see, you know, the last 14 years could have been an upward trajectory to have done a lot of things in your life. Because you do have intellect and insight to have been successful at anything that you put in mind to do. But it took these last 14 years to pull that out of you. I think you expressed yourself very well today. I think you have a lot of self-awareness. I think you have grown. And I was very pleased to hear that you didn't take your denial as an excuse to, you know, give up or you know, get into trouble, but you took it to heart. And so my vote today would be to grant your early release. It's a long time, and there's a lot difference between a 38-year-old and a 24-year-old and display broken maturity. So my vote would be to grant. I would add a condition of your parole. that you attend at least 2 AA or NA meetings per week for the duration of your supervision, and that you perform at least 4 hours of community service for in your community, hopefully with at-risk youth, of 4 hours of community service. Mrs. Weiss?
Mr. Johnson, I just want to appreciate you. I know it was hard for you to say on the World Wide Web that Department of Corrections did good by you. I know it's hard to say, but you got it out. You got it out because you did. And I want you to know the people of Louisiana tax dollars, that's what they expect us to do.
Right.
I don't know why it's a big secret, but we expect for you to come in one way and go out the way you presented yourself today. And I wish you, my vote is to grant for the reasons already stated on the record. What is the name of your father's LLC?
Northside Visions.
Northside Visions? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
That is my vote. Not good.
All right, Mr. Johnson, I saw you back in August of 22, and I think at that time I may have said, at least I put my notes in the record, that I think you turned the corner. At
Yes,
that
ma'am.
time, just enrolled in the vocational skills training. So I agree with my colleagues. My vote today also is to grant. You did really well today, and I like your attitude. So I think you'll do well. Good luck to you, sir. You've been granted parole.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all. Mhm.
Congratulations. I'm good.
Man, every once in a while it is so great to have one of these hearings. I think Miss Jackson unpacked it best. You know, she says it breaks my heart to see someone with so much potential. He was, I thought it was one of the better, you know, every once in a while I hear myself saying, I thought that was the best interview or one of the better interviews. This was one of the better interviews that I think we've seen. Really, the level of insightfulness and also what he got out of the programs. He wasn't so many of the interviews, people are reciting some type of memorization of the program. And in this case, it was like he pulled so much out of it to looking at things through the eyes of an addict and not the eyes of a hustler, which is what, you know, he was the dealer, and it helped him being able to see that perspective. And then also what I thought was pretty you know, wise, just like smart, was, what were your goals? Well, he said, well, I have two goals. One is not to come back to prison, and two is to connect to my family. Well, what do you want to do? I want to be a family man. And so many times we hear people with these grandiose goals when they answer that question, which is, oh, I want to help the community and I'm going to go and do this and do that to change the world. And then the board says, no, that's not realistic. That's admirable, but not realistic. And here it was just like my too small, and he acknowledged, he said, they're too small goals, but those are my goals. And I disagree. They're not small goals. They're life-changing goals. They're everything goals. If you could accomplish just those two things, not go back to prison and be a family man, that is a life worth living, in my opinion. It was interesting when they asked the question, do you think, Ms. Jack, do you think that the past 14 years was good for you, and he didn't want to answer it right away, which Miss Wise pointed out. Uh, you know, he kind of had to admit it. Man, I don't think I could admit 14 years being locked up. How painful that must have been on a 30-year sentence, nonetheless. I mean, yeah, it is classic Louisiana, locking people up for 30 years for dealing. But they did find a big rifle in his place. You know, one of those, not an AK-47, but it was something similar to that. And yeah, I have the transcript. We don't need to go over it, but I'll put the link in the description, and we'll do another hearing after this as well. I should have mentioned that at the beginning. But it was weird how the detective caught him. It was like the detective puts in the documents that he saw that they got news that there was someone dealing on the street. Then he saw that there were people going in inside and outside of the house. Then when the guy left in his car, no one went to the house. And when he came back to his house, he saw people coming in and out, and then he got a search warrant. And I just look at that, I'm like, how is that enough evidence for a search warrant on a legal document? You know, there was no information on this document that they had an informant. There was no sting operation. It was just the detective with his experience saw and made a judgment that this guy was dealing. He got a search warrant from a judge, and they went in there and they found the rifle, and they found remnants of stuff. They didn't even find like loads of illegal narcotics. And I don't know, they got him a 30-year sentence, but I mean, he was out on parole, so he got revoked. And then they I guess, you know, they threw the book at him. But like Miss Wise said, maybe, you know, she's like, I don't know why people are surprised, but the system is meant to, you come in one way and you come out the other way. And yeah, we are surprised because I guess in most cases that doesn't happen. You know, he's I think a unique case. He's smart, he's articulate, he's insightful. Uh, it's hard. I wish that we had seen the case last year and could compare it. It's hard to imagine how he would have gotten denied last year, but I guess he didn't have the whole AA thing, and that's what they wanted him to do. I bet you was Mr. Mirabella. So he went and he did that, and he was able to articulate how he connected with it, and he seemed passionate about it. He wasn't speaking. I believe him, hook, line, and sinker. I mean, he seemed passionate about his group and what he was able to get out of it. And it's interesting to think that it all started when he was 13 years old, playing basketball. He wanted a nice pair of shoes, and they didn't have the money. So he started to hustle, and money came quick, and he was probably hustling a long time till he got caught. He was at 24 years old, so you could think he was man, I'm rooting for him big time. That was really touching. I really got a lot out of that hearing. I hope you did as well. And his fiance spoke concisely, right? It wasn't there's such a difference. There are certain hearings where you kind of left feeling disgusted or a different type of emotions. And often in those hearings, you have the people that speak on behalf of someone who clearly shouldn't be getting out. You know, they've taken lives, they've hurt children, they've done different things. And the people that talk on their behalf, they go in these rambling speeches where they're just saying nothing. Or they're even insulting the victims and things like that. And in this case, it's like he's ready to get out. His fiance says like 3 lines that are, you know, concise to the point, and that's it. You often see that in the cases where people are deserving. It's just a different approach. Okay, so let's do a different hearing. It's interesting because I thought we had done this one, but I don't see it in my records, so we're gonna go for it now. Okay. And That's a stream.
Blue Walters program, the substance abuse? Yes, sir.
Good morning. The Committee on Parole is reconvening at 9:33 a.m. We're at Elaine Hunt. The panel this morning seated in Baton Rouge is Pearl Wise. To my left is Mr. Roche. To my right is Mr. Freeman. We comprise your panel this morning. With the staff, Elaine Hunt, please announce yourselves.
Deputy Warden Jason Ross.
Pressfield Law, classification.
Assistant Warden Carl Thomas, security.
Joe Buttress, Assistant Warden.
We thank y'all so much for accommodating us this morning. We are ready for our first case, sir. Will you give us your name and your DOC number?
Cody K Fontenot 539976.
All right, Mr. Fontenot, Mr. Cody, let me explain the process. I'm going to read some information into the record. Afterwards, we're going to conduct an interview with you. I'll start with Mr. Freeman. He's assigned your case. After we finish our interview, our questions been asked. We're going to ask the staff there at Hunt to let us know whatever they want us to know about how you've been doing. And before we vote, you have the final say. We'll let you make a statement telling us whatever you want us to know, and then we'll render our decision. Do you understand the process?
Yes, ma'am.
Let me read this information into the record. Cody K Fontenot, 59976. You're listed as a third offender. Your current offense is simple burglary and theft of a motor vehicle, 2 counts. You were sentenced October the 20th of 2011. That supervision was revoked on September 23rd of 2015. And you were sentenced on July 28th of 2016. Your total DOC time is listed as 30 years. Your parole eligibility date reflects 2/4/2023. Your adjusted good time date is May 20th, 2045. And your full term date is August the 4th of 2045. Would that sound about right, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Would you answer, Mr. Freeman?
Okay, Mr. Fontenot, good morning.
Good morning.
How old are you, Mr. Fontenot?
40.
Okay, and how long have you served on these charges?
Right at 8 years.
Okay. Looks like to me, you may have had a drug or alcohol problem. Did you have a drug or alcohol problem?
Yes, sir. I had a drug problem.
Okay, do you consider yourself a drug addict?
Yes, sir.
Have you ever been to any long-term treatment?
I have been to Blue Walters program, the substance abuse. Yes, sir.
Okay, when did you complete the Blue Walters?
At the beginning of the sentence, I was ordered there by probation and parole in 2014, I believe August.
Okay, so it's been while you've been in jail for this sentence. Have you been out at all since you completed Blue Walters?
Just for a couple of months awaiting trial.
Okay, so you were just awaiting trial. You didn't pick up new charges after Blue Walters?
No, sir. That was part of the current charges that I had.
Okay. So what was all your crimes about? Was it to get money for drugs? I mean, it kind of looks like most of them were trying to get monetary gain. So,
Yes, sir.
So that's what it was about?
Yes, sir.
How old were you when you started using drugs?
I believe like 25.
Okay, because you got your record dates back to what? I think your first arrest, you were 18.
I'm not sure. I want to say, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You're correct.
Okay, and you say you didn't start using drugs until 25?
Somewhere around there, yes, sir.
What was your drug of choice?
Pills.
Pills, okay. Yeah, most of your crimes before this, before 2007 were not monetary related, so that probably wasn't about drugs then. Okay, you know, I'm looking at your supervision record. It's a poor supervision record, I have to tell you. You've been revoked, what, 3 times you've been revoked?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you mean your probation was revoked, all because of new charges, it looks like. It's like you'd get put on probation or parole and you pick up a new charge. Is
Yes,
that
sir.
correct?
Yes, sir.
Also drug related?
Yes, sir.
Community attitude, the judge is opposed. District attorney is opposed. Sheriff is opposed. No comment from the chief of police. Unopposed is your sister. She says she has a rent house for you. Unopposed is your father. Robert Manuel is unopposed. It doesn't say what relationship he is to you. Who's Mr. Manuel?
He's the one that got the theft of a motor vehicle and the simple burglary for.
Okay, so that's one of the victims is unopposed.
Yes, sir.
Your father's unopposed and he's one of your victims.
Yes, sir.
And Paul's Meat Market had no comment, but they would like restitution if you are released.
Yes, sir.
Okay?
Yes, sir.
The bank gave no comment. And they didn't mention anything about restitution. Okay? So,
Yes.
you know, the law enforcement, there's nothing you can do about that. It's kind of unusual that you have 2 victims that are unopposed. Of course, one of them is your father. So that's how that goes. You do have a long criminal history. It dates back to 2001. What classes have you taken?
I've like I said at first, I've taken substance abuse. I've taken thinking for a change. I've taken victim awareness and victim accountability. I've just currently finished the 100-hour pre-release 1 and 2. And my parole here at Hunts.
Okay, let me ask you, what class you got the most out of? Your top 1 classes.
Thinking for a change.
Okay, what did you learn from thinking for a change?
Prior to taking this class, I never stopped and thought before I acted, to be honest with you. And it really opened up my mind to really think before I speak, think before I act on behalf of the actions that can come behind it. And it just really opened my mind up to things that I never seen before. And that's really the best class that I can honestly say that has done the best for me. Because it really made me stop and think before I do anything.
What is your transition plan? Where are you gonna live?
I believe the address is 2443 Ivy Lane, Ville Platte.
And who you gonna be living with?
It's gonna be one of my sister's rent house. I'm gonna be there. It's gonna be by myself. It's right next to my sister's house.
What are you gonna do to make money?
My brother-in-law owns a equipment rental and land development company. I'm gonna go run some equipment. And I also have a commercial refrigeration license, so I plan to further that as well.
Okay, what's gonna be your sobriety plan? What's gonna be when you get out? How you go stay sober?
For one, taking full accountability, as far as for myself. We have a local church that has, Celebrate Recovery, and I have an uncle that is there that's part of it, that is a recovering addict. That's gonna pretty much be, holding me accountable as well as my family. And I plan, I have 3 beautiful granddaughters now, so I have to think of those as well. The actions that I not to go and repeat, using drugs, but I know that I have to take it one day at a time, one moment at a time.
Your risk is low. Warden, what do you have to say about Mr. Fontenot?
Well, Mr. Fontenot just transferred to us about 6 months ago from the local level. And since being assigned here at Hunt, he did get put into work. He does have a job working on our compound maintenance on his housing unit. Haven't had any negative comments or anything about his work ethic or work performance. Looking at what I do have in front of me, he has completed the pre-release victim awareness and IC3 in the mock parole hearings here at Hunt. He doesn't have anything in his disciplinary record here at Hunt. And
Sorry, go ahead, Warden.
like I said, there's nothing negative from the supervisors that he worked with here at Hunt. So I think he, hit the ground running and is doing very positive things on Unit 2 compound where he's currently housed at Hunt.
Okay, have you ever had any write-ups since you've been in prison, Mr. Fontenot?
I think only one, and it was for being late while I was in work release, I believe, but I don't think it was like a high court.
Okay. Did you get put out of work release or?
Well, I did because at first I was sentenced to 17 years. And then I was brought in, that was in 2015. And then they brought me back in 16 and filed a habitual offender on me. And for 3 years, I was allowed in work release because the 30 years hadn't showed up.
And then it showed.
Yes, sir. All right.
Okay, where did you do your work release at?
Rayville, Richland Parish, and here East Baton Rouge Parish work release.
Okay. What kind of jobs you had in work release in East Baton Rouge?
East Baton Rouge, I worked right here in Gonzales for Dwayne Pittman Thermal Solutions, and I was there for X amount of months.
Okay, I'm very glad to hear that you did not get any write-ups or any positive urine screens while you was in work release. We all know that drugs are easy to get once you get to work release. So it does take a lot of willpower. I have no further questions, Ms. Wise. I'll have a recommendation.
Mr. Fontenot, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Okay, why were you removed from East Baton Rouge work release?
Because the 30-year sentence showed up. And
That's the disciplinary write-up.
yes, sir. That was because I was late for work.
That was in 19?
Yes, sir.
You weren't removed because you had 30 years sentence. You were removed because you had a disciplinary write-up. Because a week after you got that write-up, you were transferred to Franklin.
Sorry, repeat that.
I said you did not get removed from work release because of the 30-year sentence. You got released because you had a disciplinary write-up, but you were transferred to Franklin a week later. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, you went to Blue Walters at Richwood, and you were only at Blue Walters for 2 months. Did you complete the program?
Yes, yes, sir.
Completed the Blue Walters program in 2 months.
It was the 84-day program.
And that was before your trial.
Yes, sir. It's whenever they initially arrested me on these charges. My parole officer, Damian Gilry, referred that I go there.
And you got removed from work release because you were late.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Cody, the records show you have 14 years of education. Tell me
Yes.
about your education.
I graduated high school at Ville Platte High School, and then I have 2 years at Charles B. Correll campus for HVAC and refrigeration.
Oh, did you ever use those skills?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you ever use those skills?
Yes, ma'am. I've been doing that since I'm like 19.
Okay, good. So you had skills. Your one of your victims was your father. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
So what was going on what was going on? Do you remember who that person was?
Yes, very much so. Be honest with you, 2006, I lost my mom. And
I'm sorry for your loss, sir. I'm sorry.
she was like my stronghold. And I just gave up. And I needed these last 8 years, to be honest with you, in order to find myself. And
Were your fathers together when she passed?
no.
Okay.
I just kept running from the situation with a divorce and losing my mom and just various things, you know, I never took heed of nothing I was doing. I didn't care who I was hurting in the process. And after losing everybody, and coming here, I was able to find myself again. And excuse me, and love myself again. And,
Good. And I do want to say on the record that both of your victims are unopposed to your early release. I just think it's important that you hear that. That includes your father and the other victim of property collapse are unopposed to your early release. That's all I had.
Mr. Fontenot, I'm looking at your rap sheet. In January 2008, you were arrested for aggravated battery, intentional serious bodily injury, simple criminal damage to property, and cruelty to a juvenile. Tell me what happened.
I went to my ex-wife's house at the time to get some of my belongings. And to be honest with you, my ex-father-in-law got involved and created a lie of some, which, you know, not saying that all of it was a lie, but made me out to look worse than what I was. And then, as you can see on my record, that it was proven otherwise, that I didn't do no aggravated offense or none of that, that I did get convicted with I think it's a home
Unauthorized entry into an inhabited dwelling.
yes, sir.
And then you got probation, and then you were revoked. Is that true?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Fontenot.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, Mr. Fontenot, what do you want us to know? Make your final statement.
Like I said before, my crime my drug use began whenever I lost my mom. And, like I said, I just ran like with my head cut off. I was just lost in life, you know, cause she was my stronghold. She's the one that raised me. And, after losing her and losing everybody else in my family, and several times getting revoked, and after this sentence and scaring me over this time, you know, I really had to change my avenue of life and my thinking, you know, and these programs are most definitely helping, and the people along the way, you know, that without a shadow of doubt in my mind. But I can honestly say today, I not only have my family back in my life, but I have 3 beautiful little girls. And I'm just asking that y'all allow me to go home and restart my life with those babies that I ain't even been able to hold yet. And prove to my community that I can be who I started out to be. You know, and prove to my dad and them and to the sheriff and everybody else that I can be a productive citizen, because I have intentions on really starting back my air conditioning business, and I'm going to be doing a majority of the work there. So I have to be accountable not only to my family, but as to the community as well, because I'm going to be working for them. That's all I have to say, and I thank y'all for this opportunity.
I think you said, well said, you thought about that, and that's where you had the training though, so you knew how to do that, good. Panel ready to vote?
Yes.
All right, Ms. Freeman?
Okay, Mr. Fontenot, I think you've basically been totally honest today. Besides the little thing with the work release, but they did send you to another one. You know, and being late for work, usually they don't ship you for that, but obviously they must have. But I'm gonna take a chance on you, Mr. Fontenot. I think your head's in the right place. I think you have a lot of family support. I wish some of them would have showed up here today to speak on your behalf. So my vote is to grant with the special conditions that you pay restitution in the amount of $377.94 to Miss Tammy. Attend 3 AA meetings a week. Random drug screens by probation and parole. And you attend the Celebrate Recovery program at the church. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman. Mr. Roche?
Mr. Fontenot,
Yes, sir.
I was on a board before this hearing. I looked at the information and I said, remove from transitional work program, had Blue Walters. There was some concerns that I had about your performance on supervision in the past.
Yes, sir.
But after interviewing you, listening to your statements during the interview, I think I'm willing to give you a chance.
Yes, sir.
You're a third felony offender, Mr. Fontenot. If you ever convicted again, you'll serve a lot more time than 8 years next time.
Yes, sir.
Want to go home and enjoy those 3 granddaughters? You want to help your father? You want to help your family? And the only way you can do that is to follow the rules and regulations. You'll be on supervision for a very long time. You have what, 22 years left on your sentence?
Yes, sir.
And you'll be on supervision for a very long time. Please take advantage of this opportunity. My
Yes.
vote, same, the same condition.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Rocha. Mr. Cody, I see you totally different. You only been at Hunt since February. You only have 75 days of programming. There are a lot more opportunities you can take advantage of before you on the street. For me, my vote is a deny because you need more programs and they are available at Hunt. You need grief counseling. You also have law enforcement opposition and poor supervision history. And I am, and reapply when you're eligible and invite your family members to be here after hearing. But that is my vote. I don't know if he's eligible for 2/3, but they're gonna tell us.
In the high school diploma,
Yeah, yes, he has high school diploma.
have you completed pre-release?
I see.
Yes,
He has
sir.
a-
If you take an anger management,
Sir,
if you take an anger management,
He's taking pre-release. I see that.
okay.
Yes, sir, 1 and 2.
Yeah, you taking that.
No, I'm talking about anger management.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes,
I don't see it. I don't see that.
one second. Just give us a second.
I don't have it in my notes. I'm saying.
But it's not a bottom.
Yeah, he's not about it.
That's. You don't have to.
No anger management.
No, what I'm saying, it's not a bottom offense. One second. One second.
Yeah, he's taking re-entry 1 and 2.
Okay, it's not about an offense. He has a GED, completed pre-release as a low risk assessment. He's eligible.
Y'all see this? Okay. So, sir, you are eligible. Your parole has been granted today in a vote of 2-1. Best wishes to you, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
That's the last one.
We show our hearing concluded at 9:30 at Hunt. We thank you all for accommodating us so excellently this morning. Y'all have a good day.
Miss Wise, Miss Wise, Miss Wise. I don't know. I feel like, with all the hearings with her, I feel like she grants the biggest roaches and then in this case, she's going to deny a man who's been locked up for 8 years for really, when I'll tell you what, I mean, they locked him away. Okay, so his full-time sentence, including good time, is 2045. He's been locked up for 8 years so far, and the cruelty to juvenile, and that wasn't something that he was actually, Mr. O'Shea, he always goes for the jugular. I love Mr. O'Shea. He lets nothing go. But like he said, he explained, his father-in-law called the cops and made up these charges, and Mr. O'Shea believed him. I believe him. So I'm not going to get on him about that. I actually don't believe that's what he had done under his record. He was an addict and he was stealing, and even his crime, and I'll go into it, and we'll do one more hearing after this. But even his crime, that you hear he stole from his father, he stole from like the baker, what got him locked up was stealing a truck, and like a real addict. It's actually, I'll go into that, but you get all this time, you get locked up for so long, and then he, it wasn't like a great interview. He's lacking charisma. He seems to be kind of beaten up. There was one thing he said, though, that did stick out to me that I thought was really my big takeaway from his interview. And I've, which he said that he learned, he said he found himself and he learned to love himself again. I learned to love myself again. And I think that that is, there's a lot of truth in that. I'll bring up soft white underbelly again, but a lot of people that get into these cycles, they just hate themselves. They don't have respect for themselves. They don't think that they deserve better. And I think the first step to doing better is to love yourself again. And I don't know if we've heard that before in these hearings. So, you know, when I watch these, I like to look for something that is more than just repeating memorization lines in class, right? It's like something that is, there's some insight into oneself that can hopefully keep them out. And he is backing up a lot of time. You know, he has everything to lose. But let's look. So this is interesting. This report here, I think Richard sent it to me. I can't, it's been a while, but I don't know why, how, you know, what this is. It's, I guess, from some newspaper, but it made a headline. He was sentenced to 17 years for simple burglary and truck theft. In early August, a 6-person jury found Cody Fontenot guilty as charged. One count is simple burglary and theft of a motor vehicle. And time, however, he was appearing before Judge Chuck West to be sentenced. He'd been charged with these crimes in late 2015. After Robert's manual work truck was stolen from Manuel's home and recovered near Fontenot's residence. Yeah, it's a funny story, but I'll explain the story in a little bit. So after the court carefully studied the pre-sentencing report, the records found that the mitigating factors, and the judge, the almighty judge, you know, I wonder what sentences this man gives out to people who hurt children, right? But he gave him 12 years of hard labor. Remember, this was simple burglary, and he didn't strip the truck. He wasn't running like a professional ring where he was, you know, taking trucks and scrapping them and they were disappearing. He was just an addict, right? And then he was sentenced an additional 10 years, okay? So, and they were to run concurrently. So then he would be facing 12 years in prison, classification of third-time felon offender. However, along with the crimes he'd committed over the past 7 years, that cost his victims both money and time, Judge West the authority to impose a sentence that would require of his time to serving a hard labor served consecutively. So he will also serve 10-year sentence received for the theft of the motor vehicle with 12 years. So a total of 17 years. Now, what was interesting about his court case was it just shows that he, you know, the mind of an addict right here, right? So he steals the truck. He parks the truck in front of his house. You can imagine. His girlfriend at the time, Sarah, said, dude, bro, like, come on, you're gonna get caught. So he moved the truck like down the block in front of a house that he was doing construction on. So not the brightest, right? Then his girlfriend, I guess, was upset at him. And I'll drop the link in the description if you want to actually go through it in detail. But this is actually like word for word of her confession. It's like an actual paraphrasing of it. And so then she calls up, she gets upset at him for some reason. So she rats on him, his girlfriend, okay? And she says, but I think she made a name like Uncle Bob stole a truck and parked it in front of the house. I don't know why she did that, what it was. I think she was afraid of him, or she wanted him to get help or something. I don't know. But anyways, they caught him, and this is what. So it was his girlfriend that got him busted, and then they ended up getting married in time for trial, and she took the stand and said she stole the truck, which the jury didn't buy it. And frankly doesn't give him any brownie points. The fact that he would manipulate her to the extent that he would have her get on this stand and lie, and potential, who knows what potential repercussions could have come from that. So, obviously he's a guy with a lot of issues, but do I think that he should have served more time than he has already? No, I don't think it would have made a difference. But hey, if you look at the previous case, he had gotten denied. And then that extra, really, what was it, like just 1 year, seemed to have changed his life a lot. So, hey, you never know, right? Maybe Miss Wise was onto something, but I'm not a fan of the extra year thing. We'll do one more case here. Let's see, I have it up ready, and we're getting a little bit of everything here. Hold on.
Good morning.
That was fun.
Good morning.
The echo is great, isn't it? Frankly, I'm surprised it doesn't happen more often.
Good morning. Louisiana Transition Center for Women, you're on mute.
Hello, good morning.
Morning.
Good morning, sir.
The committee of parole is reconvening at 11:03 a.m. Our next remote location is Louisiana's Transition Center for Women, with the staff at Louisiana Transition Center for Women. With the staff, please introduce yourself.
The staff, you mean me?
Is there any officers in the room with you?
No, sir, I can get her. Hang on 1 second. I need you to introduce yourself.
Lieutenant Stewart.
Lieutenant Stewart, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Okay, sir.
I'm going to wait till you sit down.
Okay. Okay.
Now with the offender, please introduce yourself and give your Department of Corrections ID.
Okay, Sonia Marie Todd, and my ID number is, you mean my DOC number?
Yes.
588809.
Thank you, Ms. Todd. Ms. Todd, you're here this morning for a revocation hearing. You have a revocation questionnaire in front of you.
No, sir, I don't.
Can we put that up on the screen? While we put it up on the screen, Ms. Todd, I'm going to read the violations, and you have an option to plead guilty with a statement, and not guilty with a statement. You understand?
Yes, sir.
And once we get that questionnaire on the screen, can you verify all the information is correct and that it's no signature at the bottom?
Okay. Yes, sir, I see it. Okay, that's correct.
And that is your signature at the bottom.
Yes, sir.
Now, Ms. Todd,
Yes, sir.
the parole board is conducting this revocation hearing as you've been accused of violating the following conditions of your parole. Condition number 4. You did not reclaim
I have a question now.
Can't hear him.
I'm not saying anything because I'm waiting for you to stop moving and
Yes, sir,
everybody else will stop talking.
Yes, sir. They were, they had me in the hallway and they moved me back in the office. I'm sorry, sir.
It's okay. That's okay. We're ready
Yes, sir.
to read the violations and you, okay? Violation number 4. You did not refrain from illegal drug use. You submitted to a drug screen on December 21st, 2022, February 1st, 2023, February 27th, 2023. All drug screens tested positive for meth. How do you plead?
I plead not guilty with the statement.
Condition number 10. You have not made any payments towards your supervision fees since you started supervision. How do you plead?
I plead guilty with the statement.
And condition number 13, that was added on December 7th, 2022. You had a curfew from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. Failed to abide by your curfew on April 12, 2023. This is evident by an affidavit from the Warwick Police Department. The affidavit states a traffic stop was conducted on April 12, 2023 at approximately 9:37 p.m., which is 3.5 hours after your curfew, and you were driving this vehicle. How do you plead?
I plead guilty, sir.
Your case has been assigned to Mrs. Wise. Would you please answer Mrs. Wise's question?
Yes, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Go ahead and give us your statement about allegation number 4. What you want us to know?
Okay, I did not test positive for anything, couldn't have. I was never told this by anyone at the time that it was supposedly a positive test. I know I was not using drugs. The doctor, Dr. Strauss, that took the test, never confronted me about any positive drug screens, because I would have, how do you call it? I would have said something and I'd wanted more investigation upon it, because I'm doing the best that I can. And I know for a fact, 100%, I was not doing any drugs. I'm doing the very best that I can. And if I did it, I would definitely admit to doing this.
Okay, all right. Okay, and then the next allegation, well, let me stay on that for a while.
Yes, ma'am.
On September the 21st, we're in the PO's office, and they asked for a drug screen, and you stayed till the office closed, and you could not give a specimen. You remember that?
Yes, ma'am.
What was going on?
I have issues with my stomach. I can't like just use the bathroom on spot. I have a very bad liver and it messes with my bladder and my kidneys and everything. So I do have a lot of issues with medical to where I can't just use the bathroom like right when you tell me to.
And now, what I could not find in the record, you did go to where the PO told you to go on
Yes,
September
ma'am.
22nd, and you submitted a specimen. What
Yes,
was
ma'am.
the outcome of that test? Did you ever learn what was it, positive or negative?
It was negative as far as I know. I mean, like I said, I've never been told. One time I was told that, and I don't even think I was told, I don't think it was this time. I'm very confused on a lot of things. I did a lot of time in jail, a lot of time in jail on this one crazy charge. So when I get out there, it's hard for me to keep up with appointments. I have child support, I have the doctor, I have a lot of things going on and it's coming at me so fast. So the details are it's hard, it's foggy in my head. I really do struggle out there.
Okay. I'm sorry to hear that. That's unfortunate. I'm sorry to
Yes,
hear that.
ma'am. It's hard.
And I want to speak to one other point too, that the lab didn't tell you you were positive. It wasn't their job to tell you you were positive. They give the results back to the PO. It wasn't their job to tell you, about that. It's not the area that they work.
Yes, ma'am, I understand that, but I also was told that if he said that I was able to challenge it, if I fail a drug screen, you're able to challenge it to where they could do further testing or whatever. And I was never told anything because I would have definitely challenged it. It's like my parole officer would wait till he got. And I'm not trying to talk negative towards him in any way. I respect him.
This is your life.
Yes, ma'am. I respect him to the fullest, but it seems to where he would wait till he picked at me a lot. It was a lot. I felt like he was almost harassing me in a lot of different ways. And mentally, I'm really not the same. It's really hard for me to deal with a lot of things. And instead of just coming out clear on what he meant most of the time, I had no understanding of what he was talking about. He would call me and never really ask a question, but just make a statement to where I was totally clueless to what he's talking about and just hang up the phone on me and stuff. There's several times I had to call his supervisor, not only me, but my mother also. It's been really hard for me. And I'm doing the very best that I can.
But like you were saying though, you're confused about a whole lot. So when somebody's talking to you, you're not clear, so that's
yes, ma'am. And
I kind of working both sides. Let's move on. Let's move on.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
You said you was not guilty with a statement about making your payments. Tell me about that.
Okay, like I said, I have not made any payments since I got out, but I also have rent. I have child support. I had car insurance. I've been struggling a lot. I had a lot of bills to pay. I broke my foot in November, therefore I couldn't go to work and get a job. So it's therefore my daughter helping me or my ex-husband saying, here's my clothes, you wash them and I'll give you a little bit of money. So it's really been a struggle for me, but I do have every intentions on paying. I'm trying. That's all I can say.
Thank you for that. Yes, ma'am. So
yes, ma'am.
Then the next one you said with a statement, I also guilty with a statement about the curfew. What was going on with that?
Well, actually, my cousin, I really have no excuse about being out when I shouldn't have. I really had, to me, I don't feel like I had a reason to be on curfew to begin with, but I was on curfew and I did break the rules. I admit to that. My cousin called me and asked me to give him a ride to pick up some money, which he was struggling to leave town. So that's what I did. I actually got stopped by a light by my license plate was out that I was unaware of. But I was going to Morgan City and I shouldn't have done it. I should have said no. My heart's always doing for others and I get in trouble for it. So that's my fault.
All right. Well, thank you for accepting responsibility for that.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Do you need any substance abuse treatment? Do you think you need treatment?
Maybe the tools of being away from people, like, I don't know. I know I need help. I need some type of help mentally and yeah. But I mean, this jail thing this is like, I've been fighting this for a long time, and I don't believe that this is what I need. This is making it harder and worse for me every time.
Well, now, and that's the thing, the officer gave you a reprimand on December the 7th of 22. Didn't want to put you back in jail, gave you a reprimand and gave you a curfew, trying to keep you out of jail. And then
Yes,
you
ma'am.
violate the curfew.
Yes.
What's to be done?
Okay, this is the deal with that. The curfew, when I originally got out of prison or jail, whatever it was this time, I moved in with my sister, and me and her had a lot of problems. She is on drugs, really, really bad. I had spoke to my parole officer on several different occasions to try to get out of her house. And I told him that I felt like she was on drugs. She would get mad at me because I didn't want to be out late at night to bring her around to get what she needed. And I had 2 vehicles at the time. Well, it caused a lot of chaos and stuff. Me and her got into several fights. I had asked him on several different occasions that if I can move out and try to find somewhere else. And he was just really mean. He would not allow me to. It got to the point to where me and her ended up getting into like a bad altercation when she threw me out of her house with a broken foot because she couldn't have her drugs and have her way. And that's when she started calling him and telling him all kind of nonsense about I'm running the roads, I'm doing anything.
Let me stop you there. The reprimand was because you had been attending your sex offender treatment classes. You weren't at home on Halloween like you were supposed to stay in on Halloween. And then you didn't report in October. Those are things that you could have done. You have.
Yes, ma'am. But I did the one that he's talking.
So let's talk about you.
I understand, but that was the reason why I got put on curfew. The only class that I missed was the very first one when I got out of jail, and he didn't give me a sanction on that till months and months later. But it was the very first one when I had first got out of jail.
Missed September, and he said, then you didn't report in October. You missed September class. Yeah. Yeah,
and I reported every single month. But September, like when I first got out, that was the only time that I missed that class.
Okay.
And it's hard because I have to pay for that also. I have to have money, and my truck was acting up. So everything's been a struggle. Yes, but I did keep in touch with him and talk to him on a regular basis about everything that was going on. I tried.
Ms. Sonia, thank you for answering my questions. My colleague has a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Ms. Sonia, they gave you a jail sanction, correct? 7-day jail sanction?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And didn't show up for that sanction?
That's right, sir.
Why didn't you show up for the sanction?
Well, I had found out that I had missed the child support court. First off, I didn't have my ride is messed up. I don't have a lot of support. I had missed a court date for child support. So I found out about that. And so when I called Judge Gio, I forget her last name, and found out what I could do to fix it, because I knew that if I went to jail for this and then they found out I have a warrant for this, I'm going to have to do I'm going to be in the situation that I'm in right now. So instead of handling it in a different way, I was trying to come up with the $500 to get that warrant taken off of me for the failure to appear. And I thought I could do it over the weekend and get in touch with my parole officer and try to fix all this. I didn't know it was going to end up this way.
Okay. And also, they instructed you to report also on 4/10/23. Why you didn't report?
What do you mean, sir?
After the jail sanction, you were to report back to the office.
I never was told to report to the office, sir. I never spoke to him, not once. I never had any contact with him until the arresting day.
I have no further questions.
Ms. Todd?
Yes, sir.
You have 2 minutes to make a closing statement. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, 1 second, Miss Todd. Your boyfriend, Jesse Reeves,
Yes, sir.
is Mr. Reeves?
Yes, sir.
Are you available? Mr. Reeves? Mr. Reeves? Would you unmute your mic, Mr. Reeves? Is he available?
Like on and off, so something. Asking you for calling it.
We're going to try to contact Mr. Reeves for you.
Excuse me, sir.
We're going to try to contact Mr. Reeves.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, man. Hello, are you connected, to audience?
Yeah, that had trouble with it.
Hey, we
Go back.
Oh,
Here you go.
You can get state over the phone, sorry, on the, talk to the board.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Reeves.
Good morning.
It is my understanding that you want to make a statement on behalf of Mr. Todd.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you're live and everyone is listening. If you make your statement.
Okay, for one, for the time I spent here, Sonia, she was going through a lot. I tried to help out, much as I could, financially. But, or going through her, her stuff, she seemed to do everything she could do, Now I can't make a statement on everything because I wasn't with her, but it looks to me like she was really trying to do this. And as far as the drug trainings, I don't know. I think she has some kind of paper or something that they kind of stretch apart. I mean, I don't know what to say about that, but if she come back positive, she should be maybe tricked up jobs, y'all are judge, but I just want to say that because she's done served a lot of time. She's trying to get on her feet, As far as the other stuff, the third charge or whatever that is, I had to go against that myself. Just saying, because that's not who she is. I don't know what happened exactly, but that really needs to. That's not her character at all. I'm mad for her on that. I don't really know what else to say, but I'm talking today because I'd like to see her do treatment, and I'll be here when she gets out to stay away from the people that she's speaking of, people that do some advice. People, they don't.
Thank you, Mr. Reeves. We appreciate your statement.
Thank you.
Now, Ms. Todd, would you like to make a closing statement?
Yes, sir. I just want to say that I do appreciate y'all taking y'all time and stuff. And I know the law is the law, and I respect it to the fullest. I'm not who I was when I first caught these charges in 2011 or whatever. Even though I am very innocent of it, and I will stand by that to the day that I take my last breath. Sometimes things just get twisted, but I accept it for what it is, and I'm grateful for the time that I did have. I'm much more of a woman. I've accomplished a lot, but I do have a lot of mental. It really tore me down. It broke me up. It changed me, in a lot of negative ways also. So I'm struggling with that. I do stand with my head up high today, and I walk with my head high, and I try to do the best that I can. I've been dealt a very crappy life. It is no excuse for some of the things. I take full responsibility for every action that I do, the bad choices I make. I would ask, I've never been in any kind of treatment program ever. I begged for it several times, and I would ask if maybe like some kind of inpatient would be great for me, because I think not only with the drugs, the mental would help. It would help me a lot if I could get like a 30-day inpatient or something. But when I seem to ask for it from anywhere, it's like closed book. No, you're going straight to prison. You know, I never get a chance at anything positive, you know, as far as that. I'm not going to give up. So, I mean, it's on y'all, and I serve God, and it's all in His hands. So whatever happens, I'm going to have to accept it and just keep moving on. So that's pretty much all I can say.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Is the panel ready to vote?
Yes, we're ready. I'm ready to vote.
Mrs. White.
I want to tell you that, Ms. Sonia, it's very disturbing for me for someone to have 3 positive drug screens for meth and say they're all lies. You didn't do it. That's very disturbing.
I understand.
Yeah, and then there's no reason for it. I mean, you said you're on some medications, but we didn't discuss it. Now, when you said that you need to go somewhere for 30 days, what symptoms are you experiencing? What you talking about?
Well, okay, because there have been many times in my life that I will do drugs just because they're convenient, or to get out of my head in the state of whatever it is. I don't know how to deal with a lot of things.
Okay, that's okay. That's okay. I am gonna do a form so I get you referred for a mental health evaluation. But as for today, my vote is to revoke your supervision. I find you guilty of all the allegations that's been set forward.
Okay.
We do, and, she would have to, liaison with
Dr. Kerr, you've been given due chance to fill by your thing. But I do think that self-evaluation and complete evaluation. But I vote to revoke.
It's really up to y'all the policy not to notify in banking.
I just cut in and out.
That's $10, but it have to come off her own account.
Okay, whoever is speaking to leave the room.
That's the officer. I'll leave the room. Okay.
Ms. Todd, you have received 2 votes to revoke your supervision. Mrs. Wise is going to put in a request form that considered for mental health evaluation and drug treatment. Hopefully that recommendation will hit the right hand and you will be given the help that you need.
Yes, sir.
You have violated the conditions of your role. Condition number 4, 10, and 13. Your supervision has been revoked.
Yes, sir. It's very disappointing, though. It's disappointing.
Okay. We're gonna stand adjourned at Louisiana Transitional Center for Women. Time is 11:30 a.m.
Disappointing, huh? Man, that was something. If you were wondering what she was talking about when she kept referring to her other sentence, 2012, when I think it was her husband or boyfriend came on the phone and said, I don't know what she did back then. She's not that kind of person. Well, we are looking. I know the quality is just, the lighting here is a little better. She's a CHOMO. Yeah, she's a CHOMO. So I just don't feel bad for her.